The Ethekwini municipality said the city is pulling out all the stops to ensure the safety of thousands of holidaymakers that are expected to descend on its beaches and other entertainment establishments for the December holidays. Let's now chat to Malcolm Canham, the chairperson of the Festive Season Management Committee of Ethekwini, on what exactly the city will be doing differently this time around. A very good evening to you, Mr. Canham. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to The Full View.
Good evening, Simpiwe, and thank you for having me on the show.
The city launched the Provincial Integrated Festive Season Safety Plan in November that will run up to the 31st of January next year. Now, take us through that plan and what is it that you'll be doing differently this year?
Thank you, Simpiwe. Let's just differentiate. There are two plans that we now speak of. So on the 30th of November, the Premier launched the Provincial Festive Plan. In Ethekwini, we have what is called the Festive Season Management Committee Plan. We abbreviate it as FESMAC. Basically, what it does is it seeks to ensure a measure of law and order along our beaches. We see just from the visuals that you show, the number of people who descend to our shores. They come from far and wide, not only from within our metro, but also from the province, from other provinces, and international guests as well. So there are lots of people, and the numbers exceed over that period of time in terms of footfall in excess of 2 million people who walk our beaches. Now, what does it seek to do? It seeks firstly to have some sort of coordinated response,
yes,
bringing in all city role players, in addition, external role players from the city. So we look at, firstly, in terms of marine and aquatic safety, additional seasonal lifeguards, for example. We run a separated children's program because we often find that youngsters come with older siblings and then are separated from their family members. They go to those separated children's tents. If they're not claimed within that day, then the childminders move them into an overnight shelter. At that overnight shelter, they are professional people looking after them, and we make sure through the Department of Social Development that they are accredited and able to work with children. So they are held there until they're reunited with families. We recruit beach guides, additional cleaning staff, additional security and general assistance, so that the amount of litter that's generated is then picked up and we have clean beaches for those who come to recreate there. In addition, we instead of having congested roads because of additional traffic, we move people then, and buses and taxis particularly, to our drive-in site. At the drive-in site, they can park their vehicles off there. People then disembark and move on dedicated buses, we call it the hop-on, hop-off, around the central beach area, and this is free of charge. So they can get off at any beach they would like to and then go and swim there or recreate at that particular point. So it is important that we understand those concepts. The park and ride system, where buses and taxis congregate, and then people move on a free hop-on, hop-off system to the different beaches along the city centre. We run the festive season also to north and south of the central area. So we're talking Mhlanga Rock Space and beyond, and then down towards Manzimtoti and further from that. So we have quite an effective, and it's a tried and tested program. It runs very successfully.
Now, Mr. Canham,
so let me leave.
Your operational teams, I understand, will be posted in strategic points throughout to ensure that visitors comply with the non-pharmaceutical measures of wearing a mask, as we are now well into the fourth wave of the coronavirus infections. We know that, and I mean, we've seen in the past couple of years, some South Africans, as it were, struggling to abide by some of these measures. So what's the level of enforcement will you be applying to ensure that everybody complies?
I think the ask is very great. One has to consider the numbers of people on the beaches at any one particular point.
Yes.
Those who are on the seashore, the sand, having picnics, and then those who are in the water. Now, it's impossible to bathe with a mask on. So those who are on the promenade and in the streets around will be encouraged to wear and to comply with the alert level regulations so that everyone is protected in some measure of COVID compliance. It is impossible, I think, to expect the law enforcement officers to walk up to every single person to ensure that they have a mask on. But this is encouraged not only by physical presence on the streets and on the promenade and along the seashores as well, by law enforcement officers and ambassadors that are there. When we talk ambassadors, these come from different NGOs who support the city. And then the idea is to promote this through an intensive communications program. So within the city, we have our communications department and working with our health department and other agencies to promote and disseminate information relative to COVID compliance and such safely.
And we understand that the city has also made available about 200,000 wristbands to be worn by all children visiting beaches to make it easy, to identify them and reunite them with their family members and childminders, as it were. Just take us through how that will be rolled out.
This is one of the wins of our program. In previous years, before we implemented the wristbanding, we found that the number of children who were separated was quite high, and it was not only just children up into the teenage years as well. So wristbanding, not only at the seashore, but on the promenade and in-house of promenade, we talk about now Oliver Tambo Drive, at the hotel space. When one arrives there, the beach buddies are looking out for families with children, obviously heading to the beach, and the encouragement is made for them to go to the tables where our beach buddies and ambassadors are sitting to wristband the children. What happens is the parents' cell number is then printed on that in a Koki pen, using an indelible Koki pen so that it doesn't wash off while they're bathing. And then that makes it easier for us to reunite them with their families should they be separated.
Okay, Mr. Canham, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're most welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. That was Ethekwini Municipality's Festive Season Management Committee Chairperson Malcolm Canham, just taking us through the plans that the city has in place to ensure that all holiday makers and beachgoers are safe this festive season.